Welcome to my show. Welcome to my channel. This is the Hermetic Earth School, the original Earth School of Gaia. This is the only Earth School of New Earth. Okay. There's a lot of stuff within spirit that people aren't able to understand. Their dreams and their nightmares and comprehending energy frequencies and what's going on with ascension. So it's kind of like there's a lot of stuff going on, and within the 3D realm and the ascension and lifting up of Mother Earth and the Divine Feminine. But the way that things have been taking place behind the curtain, in a divine sense where people aren't able to tap into certain frequencies of understanding, certain codes. People repeating, piggybacking on a dead Buddha of trying to elevate themselves back into heaven on earth and great spirit and so forth. But it comes down into the mind of understanding, because it is the Mercury. It is the as above, so below, within and without, when it comes to understanding what it really means to be reborn, coming back into the center point of regaining the power and understanding, truly Shambhala in the center of the lotus, where people have to be initiated to come back into the center point, because everything that one sees out there today, whatever they think about is, black magic, Illuminati, Masons, and just symbolism as a whole. Everything has been reversed. Black magic has been reversed. So you're thinking of an inverted pentagram, no longer has power, because the power of the symbol itself has been, we'll say, stood up right. And, there's no underworld, so forth. So everything has been pushed out of creation. If you're looking at the AI, or if you're looking at demonic possession, and nothing is within Mother Earth, nothing is within the Divine Feminine, nothing is within Maya's calendar and the Pleiadians, everything within the Ouroboros and the dragon, the lion biting his own tail, is all symbolism, but it's actually being within the frequencies of what it all is, of ancient history. And that's the part of ascension and the Akashic records and things that people don't understand because they're not an energy reader of ascension. And some people may get information. There may be some experienced souls out there who get a little bit of information as in channels, but it really comes down into into the blueprints of Divine Mother's porthole, and realigning the symbols and realigning the Hermetic DNA codes of creation, and the storyline of Osiris and everything, all the fairy tales of ancient history. That is just a distant memory, where people think, of thinking of past lives and and all this fairy tale stuff. But everybody was sacrificed in past timelines and lost their symbols, because that's where we are, and what has been taking place of understanding, that we've lost the symbols, and that's the part where everything, all of the symbols belong to the feminine. When you're talking about the circle of protection, you're talking about the elements, you're talking about the fairy realm and the rainbow and everything, because Mother Earth is a feminine planet, and everything is birthed from the feminine realm, the universe and so forth. And so it is what it is, but you're getting into like the micro and the macro of things in the universe and other realms. There's a lot of stuff, people talking on the Three-Eye Atlas, and there's a lot of stuff going on in realms that people can't grasp. And Three-Eye Atlas is not a mothership. It doesn't have little green men on it. It doesn't have what people say is on there. And because what it is and what has come forth back into the invisible realms, the spiritual realms, to destroy what has invaded Mother Earth and the feminine. There's an invisible stuff, there's spiritual stuff, and people are only seeing what is being manifested, if it's the dark side of things or if it's the light side of things. In true reality, people aren't able to see the light side of things because they're stuck in the lower realms. And this is the third dimension. This is the lower realm of creation. And to lift oneself up, truly is to understand, people talk on reconnecting to Mother Earth and stuff, but it's within the mind. That's the only way to truly leave the lower realm into the higher realms. And a lot of people don't want to look at Babylon. They don't want to look into the cities. They don't want to look into hell, because you'll find Jesus more within the inner cities of hell than you would in your suburban church. So, but the Three-Eye Atlas and the returning of the divine feminine and the totem pole, because that's what this is. Everything that people see within images, within pictures, within glyphs, within all this stuff, they're not able to see, because it is a puzzle. And you can talk on the symbols, you can talk on numerology, you can talk on really, no one really talks, no one has the key codes, no one has the information of how to get back into heaven. They can feel the shift in energy, the change in energy, but to be able to access the realms of God, the realms of the feminine, the realms of Mercury, you're not able to. You can get a glimpse, a little insight on things, but like the Three-Eye Atlas, and people, they talk on the Kundalini rising, but they're really not able to access deep within the dragon realms, within the serpent realms, within because the serpent bites, and all this stuff going back to ancient history, people talking on the serpents and whatever. It's everything is new age. Everything today has become new age, where they've been talking about it, but the true initiation of getting back into Divine Mother's temple, back in the God's house, it's going to take a lot more than your new age spiritual light worker who thinks that they're ascending because they just learned about it, and they just learned Reiki back in 2012. because you have things that are taking place in the universe that no one's able to grasp, okay? Not able to understand the spiritual side of what has come through, like Three-Eye Atlas. I'm going to use the example of really what has taken place, of rebuilding Maya's calendar, because it is what it is. And it's taking back the symbols, it's taking back the magic, taking back the numerical codes of time. So you would have your symbols, if you are, God's house, you are, you are the temple, what has come within to electrify the magnetic DNA codes within your body. That's what it is, because the separation of what has taken place over eons is, the separation of the mercury, salt, and sulfur of the alchemical hermetic codes that which create into the circle, square, triangle, into frequencies that create a rainbow within the magnetic waters. Mercury turns into gold. So this Three-Eye Atlas and this micro and macro on, people just talk, but people aren't tapped into the energies of speech, because the speech of today doesn't have any symbolism. The people don't understand the words that they say, when they're talking about Ion and Mount Zion and, whatever, Ion, AEIOUN, whatever. So, the big thing is the Three-Eye Atlas, and that is what is coming within. What took place over this past week, on Turtle Island and within the Pleiadian realms and as above, so below. You can take it back to Charlie, and what took place then with, it is the sealing, the fixing the circle, locking the door, lifting the drawbridge, putting in the last stone, and the attempt of getting back into the Pleiadians, because that's what really took place under the alignment with Charlie. But that whole thing is the material path back to Jesus, and it's it doesn't have the proper frequency to whatever. So the Three-Eye Atlas and the as above so below of her, Isis, because it is Isis, and Isis reflecting the totem pole, because people don't understand the cross, they don't understand the Ankh, they don't understand circle, square, triangles, they don't understand the build of Maya's calendar, so they don't understand what has taken place. Because within the human mind, no one's allowed in. You may feel the frequencies, but you're not allowed into understanding that to be reborn, you need to know the symbols and numbers to create your rainbow and new DNA before even speaking. You understand what I'm saying? Your speech is just doesn't mean anything, because you don't know what you're talking about. You're just regurgitating spiritual stuff that you're learning from somebody else. And the spiritual teachings today, there's a lot of false teachers and a lot of people who've been put out there to send people down the wrong path. And because there has been truly no teachings since the elders died, since they killed the elders, since they killed Buddha, Jesus and killed all the masters. That's the part of stealing the teachings and putting people into the lower realm with demonic possession. So we're looking at the end days today. We're looking at ascension, and this is the frequency return of Pistis Sophia, Divine Mother, Isis, Mother Earth, Gaia, the Trinity of the feminine, the true 33rd degree of the grandmother, the mother and the daughter, the grandfather, the husband and the son. This is your Trinity. This is your 33. This is your Kundalini of your 3 and your 3. But people don't understand the symbol of Mercury, of how, or people don't really understand any of the symbols of alchemy that are connected to creation. So when you're looking at, Isis, and you're looking at the Mercury symbol, and you're looking at stuff like this where it's a combination of symbols, and it's the combination of animals, and combination of crisscrossing, spiritual animals and so forth, because you're looking at Isis, you're looking at a serpent, you're looking at a dragon, you're looking at wings, and you're looking at horns, and you're looking at the cup. They talk, there's horns, and there's, a bowl on top of her head, but in reality, it's a cup, so it's the chalice on the back of, or on the top of the head of Isis, but it's also the Taurus, the bull horns, and that's the connection. So there's a lot of stuff that people can't comprehend. So Isis being the totem pole, because that's where a lot of Native Americans and a lot of people, when they're truly talking about stuff, spiritual stuff, they don't know. And this is why there's no more totem poles. The people have lost their way. They've lost their path of understanding the spiritual connection and the sacred code to Maya's calendar, Divine Mother's portal. There's only one, and this is the getting back into heaven. People think heaven is somewhere else. So, heaven is within the mind, and, getting into, the true calendar of stuff, but the Isis and the Divine Mother coming back in, and the frequencies of what is within the temple. Because you can't see the temple. You're not allowed back into God's house until you're initiated, because there's demons and your mind's not right. So, ascension is not about humanity. Ascension is about the Divine Mother. It's about Mother Earth, and it's about the Pleiadians and everything that comes along with the creation of the universe. So there's a lot of demons out there. There's a lot of possession taking place today. And being locked out of God's house is being locked out of the Christ of blood. It's being locked out of the sacred water. It's being locked out. So the return, the lifting up, the coming back within, is the Buddha path, but it's the everything that people have heard of, but haven't even tapped into the energy yet. We're talking about the Nagis, talking about Buddha, and you're talking about a Hindu path. And, people are talking about chakras, but you can't even speak Hindu. So saying that you have chakras, saying, all this stuff about Buddha and all this stuff about India, you really don't have any information. You don't know anything. You're just piggybacking on stuff. And there's so many other timelines that have spiritual knowledge and wisdom, but no one speaks other languages. So this is the part of the tongue where people don't understand what they're saying, even though they're repeating spiritual stuff. Because within the silence, within gaining the wisdom, there's so much stuff, there's so much information out there today where people can research and come into understanding what happened in ancient history, and how it reflects into today. But there's sheep, and the sheep in the situation runs really deep. It doesn't, because you've seen the movie They Live, because you've seen The Matrix, doesn't mean anything. You're still stuck in the beast system. If it's saying, I don't trust the government, that doesn't mean that you're awake. Look at the situation today. Things have become really strange out there, and no one has a clue of what's going on because no one's connected. People say that they are, but they're just floating through it, thinking that they are, because they haven't reached the fall yet. They haven't reached the timeline of the blood on the temple door. They haven't reached the timeline of the Antichrist yet. That's the thing. So people want to say that they're ascending. People have no idea what the frequencies have been like over this past year. People can see the auroras, they can see spiritual stuff, they can lift themselves up, but they have no idea what is taking place in the underworld of freeing the feminine, freeing the Pleiadians, freeing Divine Mother, freeing Gaia, freeing the children, removing the demons from creation. I've been in a lot of realms. I do a lot of spiritual work, but it's only words. And everything I say is just gibberish to a lot of people. We're here to save Mother Earth, save the children. So all this stuff out there that people are bitching about and complaining about, people have no insight and are able to reflect what is happening today. That they can't comprehend, because if we are going back into a place we fell from, what's the first frequency out of the tree? What's the frequency that created the fall out of heaven? See, so the return of the divine feminine, the return of Divine Mother. People, when you're getting into the initiations, because the people just are like hovering on this chakra thing and thinking about the DNA, but they don't know, because everything is invisible. Your sacred water, your DNA, your chakras, your symbols, everything is invisible. So when you're talking about being reborn, people are still running on the old chakra system. So expanding it, reversing it, reconnecting the Mother Earth, and reconnecting the unity of the masculine and feminine within is to really freeing yourself and penetrating your third eye and reconnecting your mind and your heart and your belly, and allowing your third eye to open up to the truth. But the part of the truth is what is outside. But no one knows the spiritual truth, because there's demons. There's demons everywhere, all over the place. But they're outside of God's house, because the temple has been rebuilt. but you can't see it because blueprints come from the water. So you want to get into the as above, so below. Well, get right into the water. Get into the Blue Kachina. Blue Kachina could return, it would slap you in the face, you wouldn't even know it. That's the problem. People think, but they don't know. So, history repeating itself. Nobody knows. Because no one knows what timeline they're on. They don't know where they're going. It's the same day in and day out. But within the spirit, within the soul, what is going on within creation? That's a whole other story. This transmutation from the lower realms into the higher realms is a within and without journey. It's within because the porthole is through your belly, it's through your heart. And the rose crux, talk about the rose crux, talking about the rainbow, the prophecies. There's all kinds of prophecies. But the Americans are stuck in the rainbow prophecy. They're not even in Iran, Persia, to understand that prophecy. Or, whatever. They don't know. You don't know. Because it's the initiation of understanding the truth. And everybody has stepped away from the truth. There are those who are attempting to find the truth. There are those who want to pull back the curtain. It's only talk. People say they want this curtain pulled back on the underbelly. The whole thing with the island and all this pedo shit. You have no idea. There is a frequency behind it. There is an energy behind all of it. And an energy is manifested. There has been a split between God's children and non-God's children. As they would say in the Bible or whatever. Lifting. But it's so deeply rooted throughout time and space. This is where no one understands. This is why people need to go through the fall. They need to see what they have been ignoring. Americans need to experience what they've been ignoring. All you gotta do is go look over in Europe and in the UK and what has happened in Africa and what's happening in the Caribbean islands. It's happening here in America now. You look at the inner cities, it's falling apart. Babylon. Just a word that has been used ever since Bob Marley. Because there's two types of Babylon. There's the Babylon in the Bible, and there's the Babylon that Bob Marley sings about. But people don't get it. Because when you're born in the system, it's all you know. So this whole thing of the end times, the end of days, and spiritual stuff, it's a deeply rooted thing that no one can comprehend. So the totem pole, the Divine Mother, the symbolism of Mithras, the Isis. See, within the calendar, a lot of people talk about the missing Mayan month. It's a numerical code, because 1 plus 3 is 4. If you got 12, you got your circle. Okay? That's your circle. But 1 plus 2 is 3, which is your trinity, your triangle within. Then 1 plus 3 is 4. You're 13. So after 12 is 13, which is 4, which is the capstone. But see, the 13, once upon a time, 3 months were 1. There's no darkness. There's no 10-month, 11-month, 12 months. There's only 9 months. 1 through 9. 2 through 9. Because creation starts at 2 with the twins. But there is a 1, which is the 3. Everything is a 3. So you have your circle, square, triangle. And so you have your calendar, your 12. People say 13th missing month, or number Friday the 13th, or the 13th dragon bloodline of Mary. Capstone. 13 colonies. The 13 colonies. People don't get it. They don't know where they are because they're not connected to Mother Earth. They don't know. Because the 13th, the 3 is 1. You have the symbolism within Isis. You have the symbolism within Mithras. You have the symbolism with the symbol of Mercury. It's a crown. That's all it is. You have your red, green, and gold. You have your green serpent, gold lion, red bird. It's also the phoenix returning. It's a red lion, it's a green lion, it's a gold lion. It's the head of the dragon, because in the alchemical creation, Mercury turns to gold. Gold is hidden behind the lion. Can't access the gold because you have to come into the temple. Can't even re-alchemize a rainbow or understand how a rainbow is created. So how is one going to understand the Hermetic teachings today when people don't even question how a rainbow is created? But people want to come into the crystal pyramids. They want to come into the diamond rainbow pyramids in the water, in the sacred water. Yeah, no, I'm not even in this realm. My body's here. You know, whatever it be. But I go many places. People don't know. Yeah, there's earthquakes, there's a ring of fire, there's Japan, there's Northern California, everything in Alaska. But where is the as above, so below? There's places all over. People are born in America, think they're patriotic, patriots, never been to Philadelphia. Don't know their American history. Don't know the truth of the people that came over here. There's so much stuff. So many different timelines, so much history that has been corrupted and distorted and timelines taken away. So people think that they know when they really don't. And they want to try to ascend, get into the higher realms, while ignoring the world that they were just born from. It doesn't work that way. You have to go through the purge. You have to go through the realm that Jesus was sacrificed in. Blood sacrifice, animal sacrifice, sacrifice of the feminine. Blood spilt. People don't want to see it, but they will watch it in the movies. They'll watch it on TV. So just a bunch of rambling. It's my story about ascension. Have a good day.